Happy Grand Final Friday. Today I am sharing how I got 1,562 plastering leads in 3 years, which came from taking the website from 0 to 1,200 organic visitors a month from Google, and we spent $37,000 on Google Ads. That means that in the last 30 days, we received 70 leads from SEO alone. And I finally got the call that every digital SEO specialist, marketing specialist dreams of from their client, which is, Eugene, man, we got to dial down these Google Ads. I can't handle these leads. There's too much going on. So Google Ads are finally off, which is the ultimate goal of all of my campaigns, is so we're not spending money with rental strategies, which are Google Ads, which are definitely necessary initially. Things like Facebook ads or Google ads, which are rental. Now, I have no doubt we're going to be using these Google ads in the future, but I call all of my ad campaigns a tap. We turn them on, we turn it off when we need to. Now, the ranking boner of a graph is looking like this, which, look, there's a big story here, and this campaign, the first year of the campaign, was strictly a Google ad campaign. Gosh, I heavily underestimated how difficult it would be. Who knew that plastering keywords was so expensive, and the intent of that keyword could mean a grandmother who just ran into the wall for whatever reason, and there's a minor crack that now needs a plastering person to come out when it's just a handyman job. Or it could be a Brighton townhouse apartment with 50 apartments, which is, 400 or 500K job, right? And anything in between. So 350 web form conversions from Google Ads, meaning we're not tracking phone calls here, not in this number, but we spent $37,000. We received 350 leads, which is pretty much just from the web forms. It equates to $105 a lead. Now, that does not count phone calls. Phone calls are on top of that, which means I'd say, if I was to guess, it's about $65 to $75 a lead for plastering. Now, overall, we tracked 831 web forms and 731 phone calls. Now, obviously, these numbers are going over your head. Now, this particular campaign was a startup business. It was a Ukrainian family, pretty fresh off the boat. So a bit of a stressful one to kick off initially, because it's a new country for them. It's a new industry as well, which always comes with a level of stress. And so what we did, we sensibly started off with a fresh domain, and we picked up a domain. So the campaign in this case, like many of mine, start off with just a Google Ads ready website. So just Google Ads. I didn't expect it would be so competitive. I expected more leads soon. Now, I never promise things, I never guarantee things, and I always try to be extremely conservative with my estimations, but geez, it was tough early on. So where do we start? We looked at keyword analysis, where I always start, which is like the chunk of the pie. I go to SEMrush and I do some basic keyword research. How many times a month does a certain keyword get entered into Google? Now, this is a very broad term, plaster, but if we throw that in, we get all of the sub keywords in this space. Just the term plaster and its variations get searched 555,000 times a month just in Australia. Okay, that is made up of 74 unique ways of using the word plaster. So just the term plaster gets 5,400, but the intent of that could be, what is plaster? It's like an informational intent. There it is. It's actually telling me it on the screen. But Venetian plaster might be more of a commercial intent, right? How to plaster, and all that. Says 11,000 questions surrounding plaster. This is where a lot of my blog content will come in handy, because we look at these questions, we see what's being searched, and that's how we create guide-like blog content that helps the search engines, helps the user. Chunk of the pie, how many times a month this keyword gets searched into Google. Now, the second thing we look at is Google AdWords, because SEMrush sometimes has outdated data. There's always new stuff that we find in Google AdWords. Plus, Google AdWords lies to us about how much cost per click is. Now, where I say lies, there are probably 50,000 little terms and conditions and asterisks, but basically they'll tell you that the broad match key term of plaster will cost like 50 cents or $1. But believe me, it costs a lot more for the variation of that term that has the right intent for someone to actually book the service. Okay, what is plaster is a useless key term. So if you are firing up a Google ad campaign and you've just thrown in plaster, chances are your money's going to what is plaster, how do I make plaster, can I make plaster for my kid to play with toys, right? And that means your budget is being wasted on those key terms. So in other words, Google shows us rainbows and butterflies when it comes to these estimations, but we still look at that stuff, Google AdWords, and I usually times the high number of Google AdWords in terms of a top page bid, the most expensive, I probably times it by 4 in my estimations. Now we look at competitor analysis. Who's currently getting that pie? Who's ranking at the top of Google and what it is that they're doing? Are they running Facebook ads? Are they running Google ads? In this case, Facebook ads I wouldn't be running, maybe retargeting at $5 or $10 a day. But we look at the Google ads that are being run, I speak good England, and we see how long has this ad been running for. You've got things like Google Ads, a transparency center. You've got Ahrefs showing you ads that are running from competitors. But most of the time, all I do is I just type in Sydney plasterer, Brisbane plasterer, Melbourne plasterer, see who's at the top. And then I essentially deconstruct the top 10 websites. Now, this is a random website I just picked up, Sydney-wide plastering. They look like they're ranking quite well. They've done very well with their Google reviews. The website looks good, so whoever built it, well done. They're sitting on a cool 87 visitors a month, so nothing too crazy. Our plastering site was on 1,200. These guys definitely have been around a lot longer than us. Now, one of the things that I pay attention to is how many backlinks they have, how many, there's metrics here that just don't make sense. This sounds like they just got some sort of a cheap backlink SEO package, and there's 4,100 links coming from 103 unique domains, and their domain rating is low, and URL, anyway, I'm not going to dive into this. Now, this chart down here shows me the new pages going up on the site. There's not much going on, but there is a trend upwards. But what's important to me is actually to look at their top pages. When I deconstruct competitors, I do a number of things. One, I load up a screaming frog crawl. What this does, this sends a little robot to their website and essentially maps out what kind of pages they have, their page structure. It's like looking at the AutoCAD drawings of a house. We can see that they've used this type of foundation. We can see that they've got an underground car park, right? They've got an elevator, right? They've got their foundations designed for this many rooms and things like that. So I run a crawl. I'll show you guys what that looks like. So we run a crawl, we start, and this could take a while because what I usually do, I'm usually quite nice and I slow down the crawl so it doesn't actually hurt their site anyway. It shouldn't. But bang, there we go. Suspended ceilings, cornice repairs, South Sydney, Little Bay. So this is instantly telling me they're running geo pages, West Sydney, Arndell Park. This is it. This is great work by their SEO team. They've got geo pages. So here we go. I've crawled 116 pages and I'm just simply scrolling through them. Our services, Lindale, a lot of geo pages, which is what we've done as well. So this is all coming to doing SEO analysis. Now, what happens with SEO analysis is usually Eugene gets way too excited about a new keyword, and I end up picking up my own domains. In this case, I picked up 3 domains. And so before we even kicked off the campaign, I've already had my sites built and progressing through the ranks. Now, I call it the marination phase, where I don't promise anything to anyone, but once these websites begin to get leads, guess where these leads go to? They go to my current clients. These websites I use for SEO juice, so link juice, backlinks. I use these websites to build listicle type posts, so top 10 plasterers Brisbane, top 10 plasterers Perth, and that's where I list my plasterers at the top. Welcome to SEO. Like what Yellow Pages, high pages, wide pages, whatever lead gen pages you've ever seen at the top of Google have been doing for many years. Welcome to lead gen, right? I've just crawled 422 pages. I can export this, and this tells me competitor number 1 has got every single suburb of Sydney built out as a page. Okay, let's go to competitor number 2. Let's have a look at their services. Let's have a look at their page structure. Really nice design. I like it. It's light. The only thing that I would probably comment on is get some probably branded stuff there. Well done. Perfect website. Love it. Now, I've only just found this. Now, the next thing that I do before I get sidetracked, I look at the backlinks, I look at the Screaming Frog crawl, got it. We have a look at their Google Ads landing pages. I've mentioned that, cost per click calculations, and if they're running any Facebook ads. Now, in this case, we fired up phase 1. Phase 1 is a basic website plus Google Ads. This means that we just fire up home, about us, contact, terms and conditions, privacy, services page, and a unique landing page, which is designed to sell. Designed to build trust instantly and convert the lead then and there. That means it's a unique contact form. We've got conversion tracking set up. That way we can see, okay, we gave Google $1,000. They returned us 10 leads. Remember it was $100 a lead. Now, early on in the campaign, we were spending a lot more with Google Ads. So what I've done here is this chart is looking at 2 years of data. Here's 2 years of data of Google Ads. So earlier on, when SEO was only beginning to mature, we were spending a lot more with Google Ads. And at the time earlier on, Google was taking more money from us for the same click. Now, over time, we sculpted the campaign. What I mean by sculpted, now, looking back at the campaign right now, we've got 16 ad groups. Out of those ad groups, there are 80 unique ads that we're showing in Google. In other words, we target a particular key term, emergency plasterer, commercial plasterer, etc. And each ad group has a variation of ads that are shown if somebody's looking for that key term. Hopefully that makes sense. I use the analogy of the piano lessons campaign, where if someone's looking for piano lessons, they see an ad that says, are you looking for piano tutor? If someone's looking for piano lessons, sure, we can still get the lead by showing music lessons and music tutors, but you'll have a high chance of a conversion if they're looking for piano. They see piano, they click on it, and they land on a page that's just about piano. Hopefully that makes sense. So if I keep going down the journey, at this stage, we're running Google Ads early on. My websites are marinating, right? They're progressing through the ranks. I've built blogs, guides, backlinks to my sites. Then once, the stressful part about this is I didn't feel like the early leads were positively geared. Now, if anyone's ever spoken to me about Google Ads, I usually give them worst case scenarios, and I usually log into a few of my negatively geared campaigns, locksmiths, all pests, which is all pest control, even plastering. A lot of my campaigns, I usually say, hey, if you're getting these leads, what happens if these are not positively geared? Do you perform a good enough service for them to give you return business and referral business? Because at the end of the day, there are lots of businesses running Google Ads, things like locksmiths, dental, accounting, super competitive. So if you don't do good work, if your systems and processes aren't ironed out and your brand, chances are they may not refer, they may not return, they may not review you. So I guess baseline is do good work and care for your clients. I don't want to get too sidetracked here. So we put together a basic website, basic Google Ads. We started getting some track record. Month 4-5, thank God, it was good. We picked up some juicy jobs, and essentially we were ready to go to the next phase. Next phase is SEO. Now, ideally you want to start SEO straight away, but in this case, because the domain was brand new, I knew we were going to be in this sandbox period for at least 6 months. And yes, if you start SEO straight away, you'll get out of the sandbox quicker with backlinks. But in this case, this gentleman knew very little about digital marketing and startup business, not much experience in this exact industry. So I made the decision at the time to start super safe, super conservatively, and then be agile from there. So we saved a lot of costs early on. Got proof of concept, right? You can handle the work, you do good work. Let's go to the next phase. That's when the SEO began. Now, at this stage, SEO essentially is, we revisited the key terms. So instead of us having one service page, we then built out, I think it was like 20 or 30 service pages. Now, what is a service page? It's a page that targets a particular key term. So it's like ceiling repair, residential plastering services, commercial plastering services, cracks, Venetian, all of those key terms that I call ponds, right? It's like a pond, and when we build a particular page, we're fishing in that pond by having a page for Venetian plastering or cornice. We have a chance to show up for those key terms, right? Each of those pages gets sculpted every single month, meaning we return to those pages, we add things to those pages, and we track the success of those pages. So to give you an example, I've just done a Surfer SEO analysis on the top 10 websites. If we want to rank for the term Sydney plasterer, here are the top 10 sites, plastering.com.au. Look, I've just literally thrown this in. I can see that the average body word count from position 1 to 10 is 1,800 words. Got to take this with a grain of salt, because in that list could be directory type posts which list 50 plasterers. Here we go, best Sydney plasterer. We're looking at titles. How many titles do they have? How many characters do they have? How many bold? Exact keywords that they're using, meta descriptions, text in the images themselves. How many? I'm looking at common questions. In other words, we've deconstructed. This tool is so cool. It tells me what kind of terms I should be using on my website, on my page, to have a chance to rank for these key terms. Now, this is on-page SEO we're talking about. It's telling me popular key terms, popular phrases. Now, what I can do now is I can actually throw this domain into this system, and I say compare your website to competitors. Now, obviously, that's not my website, but it's about to tell me what we should change on this particular page to have to be the average of the top 10, right? Everything here has to come with a grain of salt. Just because this tool tells you to do something doesn't mean you need to stop, drop, and roll. This is where my 15 years of experience of maybe we shouldn't do 2,000 words on the home page comes in. So every service page is built scientifically for a reason, is cross-linked, interlinked, externally linked. While this is taking its time, we're going to come back here and Surfer SEO. So we reviewed competitors essentially. We did competitor analysis once again. We looked at their top pages, because sometimes you get surprised when you see particular keywords that you missed, but you saw that your competitor is getting a lot of traffic on this page, and this page ranks for this particular key term. You're like, huh, I didn't think of this term. That's why it's really good not to just look at SEMrush keyword volumes, but actually look at top competitors in London, in Canada, in America, basically any dense areas, English-speaking countries, right? Very competitive there, so the SEO is on point. The algorithms are a little bit different as well though. So what we also did is we planned out over 100 guide-like blogs. Now, I used to load these up all in one go 10 years ago. Now we got to make it look natural. Google's helpful content update. Yes, authors, links, actually useful content instead of words for the sake of words for the search. Now, we never did that anyway. Our stuff was always, we prioritized the query and being useful way before keyword stuffing. I was never a believer in keyword stuffing. Just putting the keyword in there X amount of times and it just looks unnatural, right? So people also ask, so for example, if we type in the term plasterer, and here we go. What does a plasterer do? You're actually seeing, shit, I just clicked on someone's ad, sorry. You're actually seeing, Google is actually showing us how they make decisions. In other words, even without cool tools like Surfer SEO and SEMrush or Ahrefs, you can see the kind of content that you should be making for your website, or you should be making for your YouTube or your Reels. Should a plasterer clean up? Now, that's a really good question to put on FAQ for your website if you're plastering services. Our plasterers clean up, right? Is a plasterer a good trade? That's more in the looking for a job type thing, but sure, that suits. What did a plasterer do? Is that how people actually search? But if we keep opening this up, this is showing us the kind of content that Google will value if our website answers these questions. Now, what I do is I group these questions into clusters. Some of these end up being sub links to an overall blog because some of these questions are more or less the same question, but we want the Google robot to see this phrase, this long tail keyword, in exactly how it's being searched. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, big challenges with SEO. We've had some huge algorithm updates, and I attempted initially, what I normally used to do is we used to build out a page for every suburb. Now these days we only build pages that for suburbs with search volumes. I know that sounds obvious, right? But before we used to have surprise traffic from suburbs that clearly showed no volume. So what we actually did, we looked at Sydney suburbs, Melbourne suburbs, and there's 400 suburbs, let's say in Melbourne or Sydney, and we calculated that 90% or 80% of the population come from these suburbs. Safe to say we'll build those. So even though SEMrush or Ahrefs may show zero traffic, we still find that people in Google Search Console actually look for that. So in other words, those tools are not picking up that traffic. But 1 visitor, 5 visitors a month is, I want to fish in that pond. Absolutely. I'm a big believer of being a huge fish in a small pond and owning that pond, and then that helps you build authority and moving into bigger ponds, right? Because when the ponds combine, right? We dropped down our 400 pages to 144. The site was too young, and we had, I believe Google was filtering out a lot of the pages. This is when the September algorithm, Google Helpful Content, came along, and so that's why on this chart you'll actually see that there was a dip. August 2023, this is showing the pages that we had on the site, and then they dropped. This is us deleting those, but it might not be us deleting those. We did that anyway. It's possibly Google de-indexing them and being like, look guys, return to this content and make it better. That's when we also return to the blogs, and if there were, let's say, 5 blogs that were mauling over the same piece of content, the same how to choose a plasterer, 10 tips for Venetian plastering, 5 tips for Venetian plastering, and 10 tips for Venetian plastering back in the day, just a year ago, would rank first and second and third. But Google's hot on these posts are mauling over the same topic. We'll choose one of those posts, we'll de-index the other, clean your shit up. So any topics that are too close together, we don't want them cannibalizing, we combine them, we merge them, we clean them up, we trim them up. So overall, the page numbers dropped on the site, but overall, Google began to reward us for more unique keywords. So this is interesting. We're now showing up for 3,600 unique keywords. We're in position, it's like 1 to 3 down here. I really should have pulled the keyword ranking graph. But basically, I'd say that there's about maybe 100 keywords in position 1 to 3, and then off it goes further. So basically, 3,600 unique key terms are showing up somewhere from page 1 to 50 of position 1 to 50, which is page 5 of Google. So really cool stuff. Now, a lot of my local campaigns look exactly like this. HCU, brand, Vanya, if you're watching this, I'm talking to you. Don't do what Vanya didn't do. Vanya's very busy. He started to listen to me, but it's never too late. Branded photographs, branded videos, signage. I got to get these stock images off the site, Vanya. They're really bothering me. I'm thankful we got the ranking boner that we have been waiting for, but I think this would have come much sooner if we had your pretty face, your Ukrainian blue eyes, smiling, and basic interview, some photos of the boys doing jobs, a couple of videos. That's the kind of stuff that grows your brand, meaning people then come back and look for your brand key term. I'm not gonna drill you any further. I think you get it. But moral of the story, guys, if you're starting up a brand, to handle your branding seriously, signage, your social accounts, vehicle signage, do a basic interview, why you're starting the business, why you do what you do, what case studies, give us a bit of a story about this recent project that you just finished. So monthly work, look, this is very broad, but Google Ads sculpting, so constantly evolving on the Google Ads. Thankfully that is off. That tab can be turned on whenever we need. Probably maybe Jan, Feb. Now on-page SEO, this list is huge. There's 200 things or 300 things that Google is judging the website on. But essentially we're constantly working on the service pages, adding more when we need. We add blogs, we add guides, do technical SEO, speed optimization, internal links, cleaning up blogs, rewriting blogs, new blogs, combining, tracking the success of old pages and cleaning them up. Off-page is links. Lots of links, all kinds of links, links from my sites, links from your sites, citations, and of course my websites are pushing leads to this brand as well. Here are the monthly numbers. Now this is a mixture of, this is both SEO and Google Ads, so it's not really a big indicator, especially on months that Vanya did not update the credit card. So Google Ads didn't bill straight away, and then we ended up having these fluctuations. But it's really cool. And this is not good, Vanya. 17 missed calls in the last 30 days. Busy boy. No wonder we need to turn off Google Ads, but that's not good. I don't like seeing that. So 47 calls because we picked up a unique phone number. That number is on the Google Ads landing page and it's on SEO. Usually we'd like to split it up. Google search business listing gets a unique number. Website gets a unique number. Google Ads gets a unique number. In this case, we have not one number and all three. But you can see 47 total calls, 17 missed calls. That's okay, you get an email, he calls them back when he can. Average call duration is a minute total. So this is really cool to have these metrics. Now this is just this last month. Hope that helps, but you replace the term plastering with tree removal, home construction, pergola builders, bathroom renovations, home renovations, and this is the playbook that will work. The question is, at what cost? How much is cost per click with your industry, cost per lead, how many advertisers we're up against, how many big boy websites are above us that we need to overtake, and that dictates the cost of the whole campaign. Hopefully that's been helpful, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.